ABC 6 News 11 at 11 starts right now.
Tonight at 11, setting on ABC 6 News 11 at 11. It's an issue we've heard about before, the dramatic rise of fentanyl in our cities. Thanks for joining us at 11. I'm John DeLuca.
And I'm Tiffany Murphy. Tonight, an event in New Bedford putting a face to some of those suffering from this epidemic. ABC 6 News reporter Josh Kerman was there.
Fentanyl is responsible for 150 overdose deaths in the U.S. every day. Whether by direct usage or because it's mixed into another drug, it's one of the leading causes of overdose death in the past few years. And it's something that can be deeply personal anywhere you go.
It can be any of us. It can be you. It could be your neighbor. We have experienced it. Many other families have experienced it in many other states. You know, there's a huge community of grieving parents who are just like myself. Some have lost 2 children, not just one. And if you don't come together, then how are you going to make a difference?
Young lost her son to overdose last year. The New Bedford police chief says they're working every day to get better, but there's a long way to go.
And that's why now it has to be a groundswell of cooperation of everyone, because it's outside of law enforcement hands to fix this problem. It's outside of 1 or 2 social service providers. It's outside of just 1 or 2 of our legislators or our court system. Everyone needs to take some responsibility. But we all have to be responsible and we all have to work together.
There isn't an easy answer to fix this problem, but one possibility is changing how we think about it.
I think for far too long we have tried to arrest our way out of this problem, and now I think a lot of people are coming around to the fact that this is a health crisis as opposed to something that we're gonna arrest our way out of.
Legislators like Hendricks are working to improve the situation. He told us about current bills on Beacon Hill that would change the way we, as a society, address the crisis.
The bill that I talked about, 1391, will keep people out of prison and keep people in treatment, and follow people along as those treatment plans develop. If there is, unfortunately, a relapse, instead of throwing him back in prison.
If you or someone you know is dealing with addiction, you can reach out to 1-800-662-4357 for local resources. In New Bedford, Josh Kerman, ABC 6 News.
New tonight at 11 o'clock, tenants of an apartment building on Reynolds Street, New Bedford, getting help from the Red Cross at this hour after a fire there early this morning. The fire department says it was called there just before 5 a.m. There was a fire on one of the first floor apartments that was actually being renovated. Thankfully, no one was hurt. The cause of that fire, though, spontaneous combustion of polyethylene-based stain materials. The fire department says you should dispose of or store polyethylene in airtight metal containers outdoors and away from buildings.
Well, we're also getting a look at how prospective firefighters in southeastern Massachusetts are training for that job. This video from the New Bedford Fire Department showing recruits at a training facility where fires are simulated. The recruits then go through different scenarios, including single room fires, rescues, and fires involving evacuation drills. Firefighters from New Bedford, Taunton, Somerset, and Lakeville taking part.
We got a daytime look at the work that's being done atop the Rhode Island State House today. The Independent Man is now surrounded by scaffolding. Construction crews working there will eventually remove him from his perch for the first time in nearly 5 decades. Repair and preservation work needs to be done, and that's because the marble base supporting the Independent Man has started to separate.
Well, as we told you yesterday, it has been a whirlwind first week in office for newly elected Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo. But now his local office is open. Amo's Pawtucket office provides constituent services. It's right on Main Street. His office will host a ceremonial swearing in for Rhode Islanders early December. Kate Michaud, who's been the town manager in Warren since 2018, will be serving as Amo's district director. Now the congressman is focusing on his legislative priorities.
I said along the campaign trail that I would focus on retirement security, averting any cuts to Social Security and Medicare, because so many people depend on those programs. They've invested in them over the course of their lives. So that's really important. And certainly when I speak to gun violence, I just mentioned it, but it's so important that we ban assault weapons, that we do everything we can to have universal background checks to make sure that no more families have to go through the experiences that so many have had over the past several years in our country.
Congressman Amo also said he plans to speak often about the successes of the Biden administration leading up to next year's presidential election. And on that note, a new poll of New Hampshire primary voters released today showing Nikki Haley distancing herself from the pack as the alternative to former President Trump. The University of New Hampshire survey found Trump with a comfortable lead at 42%, followed by Haley at 20%. The poll also found 39% of likely primary voters did not watch the last debate, but among those who did, Haley rated as the clear winner. I was going to check on the forecast now. Storm Tracker Chief Meteorologist Jeff Benson joining us live in the Weather Center. We're all in good moods because we're approaching Friday, but maybe it's made even a little better by the fact that we could have some really nice weather, Jeff.
2 weeks in a row, a really decent weather to end the week. We have had really a couple of gems each week here over the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks. Tomorrow, arguably better than today, at least once you get rid of that fog in the morning. You don't see any fog on the camera here. It's a really nice night out there. This is in Providence, but you look down to our south and east across New Bedford right now, 1/4 mile visibility. That is criteria for dense fog, but I don't think we're going to see an advisory here issued because I just don't think this is going to be very expansive fog. You can see most of the visibilities here in the Ocean State right now, A-OK. You see the 10. That's essentially limitless visibility. But look at the coastal locations, more so out over the water. Block Island down to 1.5 mile visibility. Martha's Vineyard also taking part of that little dense fog bank that is set up from New Bedford over to the Vineyard and Nantucket Island right now. But most of the inland locations looking okay with, in fact, mainly clear skies, but the temperatures have plummeted as a result. TF Green at 38 right now, Taunton at 34. So some chilly air out there. Just bundle up tonight. We've definitely seen those temperatures drop even a little bit further than we were forecasting at this point in time. But the calm winds and the clear skies, that's a big 2 factors coming together here. We call that radiational cooling with all the heating of the day. And it was a pretty warm day for late November standards. All that heat is escaping into the atmosphere. But it's coming back tomorrow. Cool in the morning, 48 degrees at 8 a.m. A little bit of fog around, but outside of that, we should see the sun coming on out. And a few clouds then starting to build as we get ready to head home and pack it in for the work week. Rain should hold off until nightfall. We will track that rain for you and let you know just how much of Saturday gets eaten away before it gets on out of here. And of course, we're looking ahead to the Thanksgiving forecast, guys.
So if you plan to be out and about during that gem of a day that Jeff was just talking about, we want you to grab your phone and take video. All you have to do is download our Providence Now app and then upload that video so you can tell us what you are seeing in your neck of the woods where you are in southern New England.
Now to an ABC 6 News update. Workers at the Starbucks at One Financial Plaza in Providence walking out today. They're looking for better pay and working conditions. Starbucks employees at certain branches around the country picketed today. It was in conjunction with the company's popular Red Cup Day, which is a pre-holiday giveaway. Workers at this Starbucks location are trying to form a union. Managers from other Starbucks came in to work the counter to keep it open during the one-day strike.
A Massachusetts judge ruling the defense team for Karen Read can have access to cell phone records connected to the case. Read is accused of murdering her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, last January. That ruling says Read's lawyers cannot access records from the homeowner where O'Keefe was found, but can see records from his sister-in-law from the day he was found. A Norfolk County judge had previously denied that request.
Now to our continuing coverage of the Israel-Hamas war. Israeli Defense Forces saying they expect the current phase of ground operations inside Gaza to last until January.
This as Israeli forces say they found a Hamas tunnel and the body of a hostage near the Al-Shifa hospital following the raid. Here's ABC's Melissa Adan.
The Israeli Defense Forces releasing this video showing what they claim is a Hamas tunnel shaft at the Al-Shifa hospital, where Israel claims Hamas operates a command center underground and where thousands of people remain trapped with little food and water.
We found a vehicle filled with ammunition, RPGs, AK-47s. We see handcuffs, knives, preparation for taking hostages from Israel.
Israeli forces say they have found a body of a hostage near the hospital, a 65-year-old woman named Yehudit Weiss. No word on how or when she died. Sources tell ABC News a deal is underway by the U.S. and Qatar to free at least 50 of the more than 200 hostages being held in captivity by Hamas for more than 40 days. ABC World News anchor David Muir is speaking with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken about the hostage deal.
We've been working intensely on this from day one to try to bring hostages home. The less that I say, the better at this moment, because we don't want to jeopardize anything that we're doing to try to bring people home. All I can tell you is we're focused on this.
Also discussing the United States' stance on a possible solution for Israel.
We've been very clear that there can't be a reoccupation by Israel of Gaza, just as Gaza can't continue to be used as a platform to launch terrorist attacks.
Have you told the Prime Minister that you don't agree with this?
Yes, we have.
The United Nations has adopted a resolution for humanitarian pauses in Gaza, reporting that 70% of southern Gaza has no access to clean water, and the Palestinian Telecommunications Group says all telecoms are down in the Gaza Strip. Melissa Adan, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Still to come tonight on ABC 6 News at 11, meet the local group that is gathering enough food for 550 families, how they're making a real difference ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday.
Plus, the Lieutenant Governor's office bringing back a popular program to share some holiday cheer with America's heroes. We'll hear from her on what it means to those who benefit. And a reminder, if you want to keep up with all the stories happening in our area, all you need is your phone. Search for the Now Local News app and keep up with our stories all day long. Download it today and join our growing local community. You're watching ABC 6, Southern New England's trusted news source.